As you may recall, a bit over a month ago, Arch Linux's AUR had a bit of a malware situation. Now, it wasn't the first, and it was definitely not going to be the last. Thankfully, we've not yet had another one. We will see how that goes into the future. Hopefully things are good. But there's a precedent there's definitely a precedent for it. Now, for anyone who missed the memo on what took place, basically the AUR has a concept known as an orphaned package. This is when a package exists, but it does not have a maintainer. And when this is the case, basically anyone can come along and then claim the package as their own. They can start maintaining it. This is known as adopting a package. And in 99% of cases, this is totally fine. People are acting in good faith. They're a user of the software, or they just maintain a lot of things. They see a lot of people want this, and then they take it over, they fix it up, they keep it working, and this is how the AUR has basically always functioned. It's a very casually maintained situation, but when people are acting in good faith, it is a very convenient situation and works quite well. The problem is when someone's not acting in good faith, because this was a situation, this is an environment that was waiting for someone to abuse it. Someone, a group, multiple groups, still not entirely clear who actually did this, but somebody decided, hey, let's go and adopt these orphan packages and then inject them with an info stealer, a package you install on your system whose sole purpose is to steal your keys, steal your passwords, steal anything that might have some sort of value to you. Crypto wallet, various other things. This is bad, but thankfully being injected into orphaned packages, it wasn't as bad as it very well could have been. If a package is orphaned, that means that no one's maintaining it. If no one's maintaining it, it likely means there's not many users, because if there are a lot of users, likely someone would have stepped up to maintain the package. Also, there wasn't just a singular variation. The early variation was making use of npm to install the package. Now, a lot of people saw npm were like, oh my god, that means that this is another npm bad, npm the malware, npm, we should not have npm on any... This had nothing to do with npm. Literally nothing to do with npm. It did eventually switch over to using bun, but this could have done the exact same thing, but with a Python package using pip. It could have used any other package manager out there. The reason you go with npm is there's very limited controls on what can become an npm package. Basically, if it exists and you're not banned, it can go on npm. But whilst the npm and the bun version could have very well been the exact same people, there were other variations where they started injecting these random messages written in Russian into the build script, which didn't really seem characteristic of the people who were already doing the attacks, because nothing malicious were actually happening here. They were just dumping out a message to the terminal, whereas the early stuff, that was using an info stealer. So this could have just been people who were, jumping on the bandwagon, wanting to just be annoying as well, because, there's an exploit here, let's get my 30 seconds of fame. Whilst it was just orphan packages that were attacked here, there was still quite a lot of packages. I don't know the final number. I know the last number that people were reporting was somewhere in the range of 1,500 packages. So even if all of those packages only have, 3, 4, let's say 10 users each, that's still a lot of people. Now, they did need to install the update, and a lot of these things were caught very quickly, so there wasn't really that much damage. We're not sure on exactly how many people install one of the affected packages, but from what I've seen, it's probably less than 100. There were some relatively popular orphan packages, but even so, it wasn't really that widespread of a infection. It was a large attack, but the attack was caught early. But to make sure it didn't get even worse, at the time, AUR registrations were disabled. Hey all, due to the influx of malicious packages uploaded to the AUR, registration of new accounts is currently disabled while we are working on the cleanup. Thanks for your understanding. This was so they could go and clean things up without more spam accounts being created, because the exploit wasn't fixed. The issue was still there. Anyone who had an account was able to go and adopt an orphan package and just dump more malware onto the AUR. Absolutely nothing was stopping them. There was no restriction on doing updates, no restriction on adopting packages. You could just keep doing it. And what was discovered is there were a bunch of what appeared to be sleeper accounts that were created multiple months ago, multiple years ago, and it's unclear if they were maybe compromised accounts or old accounts created in the hopes of doing some sort of future attack, but there were updates being submitted by accounts that were not a couple of hours old or a couple of days old that didn't really make any sense to be involved in this attack. Whilst account signups were closed, there were a few, let's just say, harsh words shared. This user came along to say, how to register at AUR now. Please allow me to ask, how can I register as a co-author at AUR now? What is the status quo and plan, please? Thank you already, best and shares. And Campbell Jones said this: we are not sharing our plans for opening registration at this time. Additionally, it's troubling that you feel entitled to enabling automated maintenance of an AUR package that you didn't create when you have never maintained a package before, as evidenced by your lack of account on the AUR, even more so due to your apparent development of an AUR-focused tool. Also, the package in question is a Git package, so it doesn't need to be updated with every commit. We also discourage updating any package via automated systems. I'm surprised you don't know this, but I suppose vibe coding has indeed made Slapdash project development much more accessible, which is harsh, but he did apologize shortly after. Apologies for my tone, I stand by the points I made, but I should have explained them more neutrally. Regarding registration, we're actively working on it, but there are still internal questions about what they will look like, and implementation of changes takes time. We can't announce a date yet, but we hope to be able to do so soon. And considering the situation, I get it, right? Like, tensions were high, everyone was just a little bit annoyed about everything going on right now. There were like over 1,000 packages to clean up and new packages being discovered, and there was still regular AUR maintenance being done, so there was a lot going on, more work than a lot of people would have signed up for. So I think everybody can understand that, yeah, you might snap at someone. And a different person requested an account through email, and well, I don't really know what this response is. Hi, greetings. And they just like replied to this. Did they just I don't know what this is. I feel like they clicked send before they actually wrote the email. Whilst all of this was going on, there were a lot of these AUR scanner tools being created. Scanning the package for malware, scanning the package for weird sort of structures, scanning your system for malware, scanning the AUR in general for malware. One such example being this one, AUR malware check. That already gives me hope. The popular 101st LLM script isolated /rooted building. I don't want to just, point this one out specifically, but this is just one example. There was probably, I would say, at least 20 of these made during this situation. Some of which were useful. Others sort of misunderstood the problem. This was one of those misunderstanding the problem ones, but people were just trying everything. They wanted to help because, they like Arch, they like the AUR, they wanted things to go to somewhat back to normal. And back to mostly normal we go, because there has now been a bit of an update. It was only announced on the mailing list, so a lot of people probably entirely missed it going on, but if you go to the AUR website now, you're going to notice a new button, or better yet, an old button. The register button is there, and it does work. You can now sign up for an AUR account. And here is the announcement. Hi all, registration of the AUR is now reopened. The new release includes changes to harden account registration. Firstly, disposable email addresses are now rejected. These are services which exist to just generate a new email address on the fly, and then after a day, after a couple of days, it is just deleted. This is if you want to sign up to various services but don't want to give them your real address. Like, say you go to a business, like, hey, you sign up for our store card, we'll give you a discount. You give them the fake address, they'll send you nonsense to the fake address, and then you never have to deal with them again, but you get the discount. Things like that. Or if you want to just sign up for a random website, but you don't want to use your real address, things like that. This is not, I think, talking about proxy email addresses, which is what a lot of the companies, I think Proton offers it. A lot of companies offer these proxy addresses where it's still a real address, but it is not your actual address. It goes to this separate email address, which is then redirected into your main box. I do think things that should be included should be the known just absolute scam services, things like libero.it. I have never gotten an email from that domain which is not a scam, trying to send me malware, trying to get me to click on a link to go and like take over my YouTube channel, steal my cookies, whatever it happens to be. Everything from that domain is utter garbage. However, I guess you can just spin up a Gmail account and do the exact same thing. So whether or not this is going to really have that much of an effect is, I don't know, kind of unclear. Email verification is now mandatory. Most users are unaffected, but new accounts must verify their email address via a time-limited token, which is valid for 24 hours. This is one of those things which is kind of annoying with those disposable email addresses. If you use one and you don't verify the account, well, now your account is just not a thing. However, if you do have a Gmail that's just throwaway, you could still very easily verify the account and still do the exact same thing. I would say make the token get sent out at a random point in time, sometime like a week after the account is created, and then sometime a couple of months in, because if they've got to wait a random, undefined amount of time, yes, that's annoying for an actual real user, but for someone who's trying to be malicious, now you've just wasted a lot of their time and start to make it where it's not really as much of a valid target to go after. Email changes are locked during the verification cooldown. Is that really that big of a deal? Like, who's changing their address that quickly, and why would you change your address that quickly anyway? I cannot think of a reason why you'd want to do that. Like, what benefit would you have as a malicious user? Because you have an account now, and let's say you have an account with a burner address. Why would you then change it to a different address? I'm sure there's something I'm missing here, but I don't really see how this is related to anything that we've seen here. If you spot suspicious registration activity or packages, please flag them in the mailing list as usual. I don't think any of these changes are bad per se, I just don't really think they address the root cause of the problem. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to sign up for a new account and just create a bunch of new accounts and then eventually use them all to spam. But someone who's committed to the bit, someone who really wants to do so, they could make a bunch of Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, pick your poison of free email provider, sign up for accounts, do so over, I don't know, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and then perform the exact same attack once again, because the problem with orphan packages where anyone can just adopt them is still present. These orphan packages are still on the AUR. There's still no controls over who can adopt them. If somebody wants to, like, anybody still can. I don't think this will be the last time we see an attack on the AUR, and I don't think this is going to be the last time we see an attack with orphan packages involved. I think there needs to be a change on how those are handled. I don't know exactly what should be done, but I think there's a couple of things worth experimenting with. Like, if your account has never maintained a package already, you shouldn't be able to go and adopt an orphan package. And let's say if you've not maintained it for I don't know, certain number of weeks, a certain number of months, you just can't adopt an orphan package. Or maybe you've got to be a co-maintainer on something first before you can actually be a maintainer on an orphan package. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just length of account age. Maybe let's say the account needs to be 6 months old before you can go and adopt an orphan package. Because yes, there were accounts in the last attack that were multiple years old, but most of them were like hours or days old. Honestly, maybe you could even make it where if you want to adopt one of these packages, you have to be verified by a moderator or verified by someone who has been on the AUR for a long time and has been proven to be a real trusted maintainer, and only then you can adopt an orphan package. Because as it currently stands, I don't think anything has really been fixed here. It's slightly more annoying, it's slightly less convenient, but the fundamental issue of orphaned packages is still present. And I don't know if you can really change that without fundamentally changing what the AUR is trying to be. The AUR isn't supposed to be the Arch Linux core repos or the extra repos or even the chaotic AUR. It's supposed to be something where anyone can throw things up, anyone can maintain anything, and it's kind of this... Well, the chaotic AUR is the chaotic AUR, but really... the chaos is in the regular AUR. The chaotic AUR, it's there to sort of rein in and control the chaos. Whilst nothing has really been solved, hopefully going forward, we don't have to deal with this problem anytime soon. Now, do I think that it's never going to happen again? No. Do I think that it's going to be a little bit harder? Yes. So hopefully... and with there being a lot more eyes on the AUR, next time it is far less of a big deal. But we shall wait and see. So, if you liked the video, go like the video, go subscribe as well. If you're on mobile, click that hype button. And if you really like the video and you want to become one of these amazing people over here, check out the Patreon subscribe Silly Barapay linked in the description down below. Let me know your thoughts as well, and... be safe.